what's up, fellas? I'm Illustrious Female Fan Steve Alicious here with a farewell to a friend. A farewell to the greatest classic BlackBerry of all time, the BlackBerry Bold 9900, today on Steve Alicious Tech. And we're back, and right at the top of the video, let me thank you guys. 165 subscribers is insane. Thank you so much. If you like old stuff, new stuff, old phones, BlackBerry, Windows Phone, newer tech, go ahead, give that subscribe button a tussle. It really means a lot to me. Now, you'll notice I was very careful with my wording at the top of the video when I said the greatest classic BlackBerry of all time. And the reason why I didn't go greatest BlackBerry of all time was because this guy exists, the BlackBerry Passport. For my money, pound for pound, the best BlackBerry device of all time. The keyboard, the screen, the unique form factor, BlackBerry 10, everything excellent about it. But right now, we're here to talk about the BlackBerry Bold 9900. To me, the very best of the classic form factors with BB7. This was when they finally figured out how to get that build quality, how to get that feeling in the hand. When you feel this device, you feel inspiration from the iPhone 4. The trim, the glass, the back, the rubberized material that doesn't feel cheap. The back that, yeah, okay, this may be carbon fiber, make fake, whatever it is. It doesn't feel cheap. BlackBerry devices until the Bold 9900 always had a tendency to be a little bit too much bulk, a little bit too much plastic. It looked like sometimes you were viewing the screen through a viewfinder where you had that gap, that noticeable gap between the plastic or the glass and the actual LCD panel behind it. This was the first one that you're like, you know what? I'm holding a modern piece of technology here. It was thinner. It just solid build. You didn't get that creaking that you got with some of the other BlackBerry devices. This is the one that you'd want to hold. This was the pinnacle of their design, in my opinion, in 2011. And that's the problem. If this were the device that came out as an answer with BB7 ready to go, while Apple still didn't have its stuff together as far as enterprise services were concerned, if this were the device we were talking about in 2008 or 2009, we're still talking about BlackBerry as a viable phone maker. I think so. We're still talking about them making devices because they would have responded, and this would have been something that people would have wanted to carry around, especially for business, well into the future. But instead, they were a little late. And while it's a great device, 2011, a full year plus after the iPhone 4, it was already over. Apple added their enterprise services, and away they went. But there's still plenty to like about the BlackBerry Bold. Let's talk about some of the specs. Camera, it's got one. That's all you need. Listen, you're not on Instagram with the BlackBerry Bold 9900, okay? You're not on there because the app support just wasn't there, but you're also not on there because you don't need to be taking pictures of all these resorts. You own the resort when you have a BlackBerry 9900. You're not worried about the only thing Facebook you're worried about is your Facebook stock options that you've been trading. This was meant for a business. Let me tell you something. It's coming into the summer months, right? You're going to be going to these parties. You want to feel like a champion, fellas, ladies? I'm going to give you the uniform for the fellas. Fellas, you got to go out there and you got to buy the most obnoxious colored polo shirt you could find, okay? I'm talking bright colors. It's got to have the buttons, right? Then you're going to get yourself a nice pair of khakis, and then you're going to go on eBay and you get yourself one of these boys, right? With a nice metal strap, okay? It's like $10 on eBay. And you're going to put this on your belt, and you're going to be talking to people at those boring parties and whatever it is, and you're going to have this on your belt, and somebody's going to be saying, "Oh, Timmy made a top Cub Scout," and you're going to say, "Hold on, Karen, and you're going to get your call, and you're going to unsheath this bad boy, and I promise you, everybody's going to stop talking, because I don't care if it's your girlfriend asking if you want pizza tonight. Whatever comes out of this phone, people are going to think it's more important than anything they're talking about." And I so wish. Don't put your main SIM in it, by the way. Not in 2020. You got a backup SIM. If you're here and you just like devices and you got a secondary line, that's what you put in here. Because unfortunately, in 2020, and that's why it's a farewell. As you could notice here on the screen, as we pull it back up, you notice what's missing there? The little BlackBerry shield. It doesn't connect. And I understand there are ways around that, perhaps. The security certificate expired September 14th, 2019. It keeps popping up. Email, not so great. It still makes calls, okay? So you can still have some fun with that. It'll still text people individually. And that's something I've noticed about devices as they age. For whatever reason, group texts are considered MMS, and that's what drops off on these devices as network support starts to go away. It is still 4G. The voice quality is not bad on it. So making calls, it is very satisfying. When you go ahead and you want to make the call and you press send, and when you're done, you press end. Nothing's more satisfying than a physical button than perhaps maybe folding it closed and getting that good snap when you hang up the phone. But for my money, of the classic devices, this is also the best keyboard. When you click on this keyboard, and it's got the curve, it's got the slight curve, but the tactile click, the satisfying, very reassuring click that you get is different than what they offered us, even a device 4 or 5 years newer than this one. Here's a Q10, and when you click them side by side, the Q10's got a mushy feel to it. A very mushy feel to the keyboard in comparison to the 9900. And this device came out 4 years after it. And you can see the keyboard, they went straight across. I don't like that as much as the curved keyboard on the Bold. Now, a lot of people said, oh, well, they put the Bold keyboard on the Key 2. I hate to tell you, it's not. It feels a little bit better. It's closer to the Q10 keyboard and the Q20 keyboard than it is to the Blackberry Bold keyboard. Because this is kind of mushy compared to this, the tactile feel. So this was just an extraordinarily well-built device. I wish it still worked. You can't get email. Google gives you all kinds of problems, says, oh, you can't, the security and this, that, and it bugs you every other day to kind of close off that what they consider a loophole by allowing these older devices to connect. But just overall, the feel, the form factor, you miss phones that are this size. I mean, if you're going ahead and comparing it, let's go ahead and compare it to here's a Note 10 Plus. Can it even fit in the I got it zoomed in. Can it even fit in the same frame? Now, while you weren't using this for, like I said, you weren't using it for Instagram or YouTube or any stuff like that. And I understand it's not a content media device, but just texting. And I understand it's smaller than some of the keyboards on some of the other devices, and the Passport keyboard, but you still felt very accurate typing on this. Yeah, okay, it's a little bit slower, but just the experience of typing out texts and emails is one that hasn't really been duplicated since. And this was the top of the food chain for that experience. If this were the Blackberry that we had gotten a few years sooner, perhaps, even if we don't still have physical keyboards on devices, perhaps we still have Blackberry devices with their... Let me tell you something. We talked about how Windows Phone had excellent keyboards, on-screen keyboards. I would say second place is the Blackberry on-screen keyboards. The ones on the Z10, the Z20, I believe the Z3 as well. Z30, I'm sorry. Excellent on-screen keyboards. We were talking about social media and joking about that. Their Twitter integration on these devices, phenomenal with the hub. Now, BlackBerry 7 may not be the most feature-packed OS on the market, but the way that it integrated different things on here with the hub that you can still get on modern devices. You can even get it on Android if you want. You pay your $1 a month or whatever it is to BlackBerry services and you can get it, but it's not quite the same. And the integration on other devices isn't the same, where you could go to one central location like the hub and respond to multiple messages, YouTube messages, Twitch messages, Twitter messages, whatever it is. When you could scroll over on this and get to the just different messages on here, it was incredible. Great. Until they just decided the developers weren't there, the users weren't there, and the APIs got pulled back. Twitter stopped supporting it. And that was fairly recently. That was only about a year or so ago when they finally said, hey, listen, there's not enough users to support what we're doing to upkeep this, so we're just going to say goodbye to it. And unfortunately, with the exception of just some phone calls, if you're just looking to have some fun, we're going to have to say goodbye to it as well as a viable device. It had a good run, 9 years, No one's saying that we still want to be using this today, but it was fun to go on there, still do emails, still do text, still do calls, and now half of that functionality is gone as well. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, for more stuff just like this, have that Steve-alicious day.